Hello, this is Workbench episode 23. I'm Seth Werkheiser along with Bill Meese, two people who work in music and love technology, sharing our nerdy knowledge to help make your work easier and more manageable. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Seth. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm doing well. I saw your Snapchat of some handwritten notes.
Yeah, that'll actually play into a few of the things I want to cover on this episode. Apologize in advance for the audio. I got AC units and fans. It's about 377 degrees here in New York today. So.
That's okay. I have the window open, no AC, and it seems there's a monster truck pool going on out front. So
every time, I'm sure I'll notice each of them when I edit this later.
Yeah, I'm in the Poconos, man. It's monster trucks and motorcycles, man.
It's usually how it happens. It'll be quiet all night, and then as soon as you start recording,
there it is.
Is when the Sons of Anarchy gang of monster trucks.
Freaking Fury Road out here, man.
How was your weekend, dude?
Dude, weekend's good.
Yeah.
I purchased OmniFocus this weekend.
Mother effer.
Yeah. Dude, I really think it was a progression of doing my to-dos in Evernote. And then that kind of conditioned me to do all my to-dos in Trello. And then it was kind of like moving things around all the time. It all kind of snowballed and helped me transition into, now I get OmniFocus. Now I get it.
Well, now that you're visiting me next week, is it?
This coming Friday.
Now I know what we're going to do over some over coffee on Saturday morning.
Let me see your context list, Bill.
You know what? I don't actually use a lot of context. It's one of the main features of OmniFocus that I don't even touch.
Yeah, I've been reading a few blog posts, and man, everyone's got their own idea of them and stuff.
Yeah, I've actually contemplated buying the Pro version. I'm assuming you didn't buy that.
No, I didn't. I just bought the $40 one.
Yeah, and the Pro one, you can really drill down and get very custom with your context, which maybe that would make me use it more. But the other feature of the Pro version is a lot of Apple script, which I never touch.
Yeah. No.
Did you spend some time with your pop this weekend?
I did. I went on a bike ride with my dad.
You did?
Yeah, we did a 5.5 mile bike ride.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad for an older guy and an even older guy.
Same guy I used to go dirt biking with when I was 13. And, man, here we are all these years later. I mean, he's the one that got me into bicycling a lot. And, yep, he's always putting the miles on, and I was happy to ride with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got suckered into doing lawn work. And yeah, outside chores and landscaping, but we did manage to go to my favorite old man diner, which I don't know if we went to. We should go to that this weekend.
Ooh, I like that.
It's
diners, man.
Cash only, cheap breakfast, old lady waitresses.
Oh,
the whole nine.
We're so there.
And then we went to a baseball game.
Nice.
An amateur minor league game here on Long Island, the Long Island Ducks.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, yeah?
I've been to a game there, yeah.
And luckily the rain held off.
Good.
And we stayed for as long as a sweaty 2-year-old allowed us to stay.
So 12 seconds?
A couple innings, a few innings.
Okay, cool.
I guess it was an official game, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Which means about 5 innings, I think.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's cool, man. Those minor league ballparks are great because
they
offer somewhat the same level of entertainment, and in my case, as a Met fan, some better baseball playing.
Ooh, and, zing!
For half the price.
Right? Yeah, you're paying half the price, and you're front row. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I think our tickets were $12.
It's amazing. I love minor league baseball games. You've seen the what was the Coney Island whatever?
Cyclones.
Yeah. You've been to a game there?
I haven't. I really should though. That's actually a New York Mets affiliated team.
Is it?
Yeah, it's one of their minor league divisions, which I should totally
I was
try.
At 2 games there, man. It's beautiful. On a cool, breezy summer night, man. Gets cold enough for a hoodie. Oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, dude. So we had some really great feedback on the last episode. A lot of people hitting us up on Twitter. Twitter seems to be the vehicle of feedback for us.
Yes.
Which is nice, because that's where me and Seth are all day long, and
correct.
It's where we're undoubtedly going to see it. So
right.
For those of you that have hit us on Twitter with questions, comments, rants, and raves, we thank you.
Totally. That's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
So did you check out Mark Maron's Obama interview?
Oh my goodness, I have not. I've been catching up on my Back to Work and Roderick on the Line.
2 great shows.
Oh man, so I'm trying to squeeze in some like Dan Benjamin hour, and as the story grows, my buddy Trav, been hanging out with him, and he's doing some cool interviews and stuff, and trying to keep up with all the stuff he's doing. He's putting out some cool stuff. So
you know what I found, and not that it took me that long to find, but GTD now has a new podcast series with a new host.
Oh boy.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, here we go. And of course I dove in head first and listened to like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But one of the, and I wish there was one episode where we didn't bring up David Allen or getting things done, but there's this one thing he offers on his website called GTD Connect.
Yeah.
And it was always kind of pricey, so I never really did it. But for one of the podcasts, I think it's episode 3, they took one of the exercises led by David Allen and put it into a podcast. And it's called a mind sweep.
Ooh.
And it's not, I don't want to say it's like hypnosis, because it's not, but it's definitely like a verbal exercise.
Yeah.
Where he guides you through the process of clearing your mind and getting things down on paper.
Ooh.
So you can then put it into a trusted system and process from there. And in my case, and now in your case, it's OmniFocus.
Yes.
So it was cool. I got up early this morning. It's shocking, I know. And I didn't have any freelance to do, so I just sat and did a mind sweep, and I filled up like 2 legal-size notepad pieces of paper with just crap that was in my brain that is now in a trusted system that will get done.
Got it out, yeah.
So that's free. You can check out the podcast for free. I think it's gettingthingsdone.com/podcast.
Nice.
And I think it's episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But highly recommended. Even if you aren't a GTD practitioner,
right.
Just the exercise of doing a mind sweep is healthy anyway. Even if you get it out of your head onto a piece of paper, it's better than keeping it in your head.
Right. Bouncing around. Absolutely.
But I did listen to the Mark Maron interview, and I got to say, I will leave all politics out of it because I don't think that was the point. But it was an amazing interview.
Yeah.
And I'll only say this about it because I don't want to start a big... I don't want to even go there. But the fact that the President of the United States is doing a podcast in a comedian's garage says a lot about podcasting. It says a lot about media.
Mm-hmm.
And it says a lot about where podcasting is going, where media delivery is going.
Yep.
And if you think about how far it's come since the days of the presidential radio address, which I think he still does.
Yeah.
Presidents still do that. But I think it was a classy move by the Obama communications team in that, and this is in the interview, it was a means to reach people who had stopped caring about government. And I know you can't see me, but I'm raising my hand. And it's true. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I just haven't followed politics at all because it just seems like noise and nonsense for the longest time.
Sure.
And this was a great, they met me where I was at. They met me through a medium that I pay very close attention to.
You're used to consuming something in that way. Yep.
Right. And for that alone, I think is enough to at least acknowledge it. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, you can pick apart one line headlines, which is what the news cycle has seemed to have done today, but it's significant. I felt like I should listen to it because it was important,
right?
Regardless of how
it's regardless
of how you feel about the president.
And man, like you said it too, the idea that something can be such a big media event, and it took place in a garage.
Yeah, in Pasadena.
Like, Mark Maron, he doesn't have a fancy soundstage. I'm sure, if you can look at pictures of his garage, it's a garage. It's pretty cool that happens. And the ability, the access, I mean, you're hearing now, like, some of these guests on some of these podcasts, like, whoa, that person's on that podcast? How'd that happen? A lot of neat names are popping up in different places on these podcasts because it's such this raw, new, like, no one, it's, the internet's still the Wild West, but podcasting is still like, who even knows?
Yeah, and it's the whole experience too. Like, not even, oh my God, Obama's on Mark Maron's podcast, but
right.
If you follow Mark on Twitter or Instagram, he was tweeting about it as it was happening, before it happened, right before it happened, and then after it happened.
Yeah,
I guess part of the experience is, especially if you're a fan, that you're able to kind of be there with him. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but that was as interesting to me as the actual interview. Like him tweeting pictures of the giant tenting system that the Secret Service has set up, the snipers on his neighbor's roof.
Oh my God.
All this stuff, and I couldn't help but think, especially since we do this show and I do a lot of the audio stuff. I would have been so afraid of losing the audio or not recording something, or halfway through having something go wrong, saying, "Hey, can we do that again?" Oh, that would have been nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I love it. Well, that's the thing too, man. You never know who's going to listen to this, which is the fun part too. So,
right, totally. But in any case, it seems like Taylor Swift has saved the world.
Oh, thank goodness! Yes.
And I jotted this down because I wanted to at least say one thing about it. If you believe Taylor Swift is the reason that Apple changed their mind on the streaming service free trial period, you are mistaken.
Yeah, wasn't it a tweet from like the big someone at Apple that was like, "Yeah, I woke up and I saw it. Yeah, she's right. We're gonna change it." Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that's how it seems, especially if you're looking, just at the media. But Apple has a very good PR team, and you can't tell me that after the WWDC and that came out, and then the subsequent details of the agreements came out, and they figured out that they were going to withhold payment from artists during the 3-month trial. You can't tell me that they didn't hear the backlash right away and start to change course the next day, which was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah.
And it just took that long to realign everything else to make sure that it worked like this. And all of a sudden Taylor Swift tweets about it or writes a letter and it changes? I don't think so. That's just my theory.
Yeah, there's that. That's such a ginormous thing. Like, I can't even comprehend all the contracts and the record labels and how any of that moves. But I'm sure it's at a glacial pace. Nothing changes overnight.
It's ironic you said glacial because it's kind of like turning the Titanic.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just turn it on a dime. Like, you have to. It's a gradual, slow process.
Yeah. No one at Apple called up the labels and was like, "Hey, what do you think if we change it?" No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But hey, great timing for everybody. More artists get paid. Cool. I'm for it. Whatever.
Well, Taylor Swift will continue to be rich, and the indie artists will continue to struggle. So it's really no difference.
Well, and the indie fans will continue to not buy CDs. So,
what's a CD?
Anyway. Oh, did I say that? Oh, yeah. Shoot.
So the importance of pen and paper.
Getting things done.
But I wanted to touch on that anyway because, we talk about OmniFocus and Trello and Slack and Asana and all these fancy apps. And I actually have a Harvard Business Review podcast queued up that I hope to listen to this week about digital distractions or digital tool overload.
Yeah.
And because I'm so entrenched in this stuff, it always makes me at least worry about it or at least be aware of it, that, you can have overload.
Totally.
And I find that using a pen and paper alongside of whatever tools work for you is the way to go.
Yeah.
Like even tonight, I didn't have anything written down. I didn't have anything planned other than a few topics that we had picked. And about a half an hour before I knew I needed to record this, I was like, you know what? Let me just jot down some thoughts. Basically, do a mini mind sweep.
Yeah, get stuff out of your head. Yeah.
Yeah, of the Workbench Podcast frontal lobe. And I noticed what I was doing, and I figured out I should probably talk about how important that is. And I use Drafts. I've spoken about that before. The Drafts app, which is great, but I still have, 4, 5, 6 different pads of paper in various places where I live and work.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, I have one in the shower.
Yeah, the one that you can write on.
Aquanotes. Shout out. Be a sponsor, please.
Yep. Yeah.
What about you? Do you use pen and paper a lot? Or are you strictly digital?
No, I do. I have a couple notepads. I have a Field Notes notebook as well. Sometimes in town, at the end of the workday, mostly on the weekends too. I try to leave my laptop behind, spend less time on that, and just write stuff down in a notebook. I believe just the act of writing stuff out, just helps. Whether you go back to it or not, whether you go back and transcribe it word for word into your preferred whatever, I don't think it's about that. I think it's about just writing it down and getting that stuff out.
Field Notes are a great company.
They're fantastic, yes.
I use them for my personal journals.
Yeah.
And I love their slogan. Do you know it?
I'm not writing it down to remember it now, but... Oh, to remember it later, but to remember it now?
Right. I'm not writing it down to remember it later. I'm writing it down to remember it now.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And they do... That's the thing. I feel like the rise of our specialty paper and stationery is on the rise, which makes pen and stationery nerds like me really excited. Because whether it's Rhodia, Moleskine, what we just mentioned, Field Notes.
Field Notes. Yeah.
It's a good time to be someone who writes stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you too, when I'm doing reporting for some of the email marketing stuff that I do, I end up sometimes looking at my screen and jotting down notes of points rather than keeping everything strictly digital, man. I love just being able to take it from the screen. Let me write this down. Wait, let me move. I'll do simple math, this and that, add up stuff or whatever.
Some long division?
No long division. But yeah, I love it. I love writing stuff down. So
we wanted to talk about iOS and OS X, or I guess iOS keyboards, third-party keyboards, which are pretty popular now, and OS X shortcuts or keyboard shortcuts.
Keyboard shortcuts, which work on both for sure. So.
Yeah. What's been your experience?
My main experience has come from Text Expander, which you told me a while back.
Ditto.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Text Expander is a piece of software that lives on your Mac and iOS that enables you to type little snippets of text that then expand into larger blocks of text. Highly recommend it. Go check it out.
Right. A real simple one is I was using Google Voice for a long time, so I use that number all the time. But now I finally switched back to what my actual phone number is on my iPhone. But I kept forgetting it, because it just wasn't in there. So I actually made it a Text Expander, and it helped. And, I just hit semicolon PH, and it types out my phone number for, hey, give me a call. Here's my number. Or text or this or that. And, I don't really use it for giant stuff just yet. But, I've saved 45 minutes over the course of the past couple months using it.
That's awesome.
And 45 minutes. Well, try sitting there and typing your phone number for 45 minutes straight. Because that's basically what it kept me from doing when you add it all up. So
yeah. Excuse me. I've been using Text Expander for about 2 years now.
Wow.
And I'm looking at it right now. Hours saved, 223.
What?
So, however many days that is.
223. That's like 10 days, isn't it?
Yeah. I've expanded snippets 44,000 times, and I've saved 5.3 million characters.
And that's like, I don't want to sound hippie or cosmic, but that's for real. You save days by not sitting there and typing out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And
it adds up.
Put simply, yes, exactly that. And I hate to sell it so hard, but I really can't live without it at this point. Especially if especially for someone who has a job that's based around a computer and the internet and communication, you're gonna type the same crap over and over again. Or you're gonna need to type the same crap over and over again. Whether you're doing canned responses for customer service, or you're doing reports, or anything, using something like Text Expander will save you days of your life, and that's it's about as literal as you can put it. But I probably have about, I don't know, a few hundred different snippets.
Wow.
Like, I'm looking at, like, a big one I use is email teams. Like, if everyone's email address involved in a certain project, I'll make that a snippet, and then in the email field, when I go to write a new email, I'll write team whatever, whatever the name of the project is, and everyone's email pops up. And if people need to come off, you take them off from there. But point being is that you're not sitting there typing out everyone's email address. And I know there's email groups that you can make with Outlook and Mac
Gmail
Mail
and all them. Yeah,
sure, it's fine. But this is a very minimalist, simple system.
Right.
But anyway, the reason why I bring it up is that they now. Let me back up a second. When iOS 8 came out last year, one of the features was being able to install third-party keyboards on your phone. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, Apple didn't let you do that. Or I think if they did, it was only for really approved stuff or Apple stuff. Like, I know a really good example of a third-party keyboard that most people don't even realize is a third-party keyboard is the emojis.
Yeah.
And that was probably the first one that people saw or used, was the emojis when they came into the App Store,
right?
Whenever the hell that was, but anyway, now that you can install third-party keyboards, Text Expander and it's a company called Smile Software, they quickly developed a third-party keyboard that tapped into your snippets, which syncs via Dropbox, which is, I'm going to say, one of the most brilliant things Dropbox ever did was allow app developers to sync their data with them.
Yeah.
Because now there are, at least a dozen apps that I can think of that sync their data through Dropbox so that you can sync them across all your devices.
1Password.
1Password being another big one.
Yep.
So now, if I have the third-party keyboard installed on my phone and my iPad, now all my snippets work on my Mac, my iPad, and my iPhone. That's huge.
Which is, if you're replying to emails on any of those devices, it's awesome to have your snippets.
Yeah, and I'll go one step further in that Text Expander, it's not just plain text. You can do formatted text. You can even do photos. You go ahead.
I've been using it for Markdown. Yeah, for the show notes that we do on in here in Simplecast. Like, I don't have much experience with Markdown, so it doesn't flow for me as as much as HTML does. So I actually built a giant snippet for Simplecast show notes because of how the links show up and this and that. But now with a text expander, it like cuts minutes out of it.
And you can use it for any kind of code, really.
Yes.
You can use it for was it CSS or
I use it on
plain HTML.
Skulltoaster and SethW.com. Every time I update it, I have a snippet that types into href equals code, target equals blank. Because I do my websites as plain HTML files. Mm-hmm. And that snippet, that saves time.
Right.
It's a pretty geeky thing. But yes, you could totally do code, yeah.
But one of the biggest hurdles I was trying to get over was I do have a PC at work. And I was trying to figure out how to use Text Expander on a PC. And it's really not as easy as it looks. Surprise.
Sure.
But there's a piece of software called Breevy, Breevy.
Okay.
Which it's its own application, but it enables you to call upon your Dropbox folder for Text Expander.
Wow.
So that's not cheap. It's the same price. I think it's like $40.
Whoa.
But it works, and it works well.
Yeah.
I'm still in the free trial, and I'm like dreading the days that go by that I have to go buy it, because I probably will end up buying it. But yeah, Breevy. It works on Windows.
Wow, I like that. Yeah. No, it's and then also too, I mean, in iOS and on OS 10, there's shortcuts, text shortcuts. If on the Mac, if you go to System Preferences, Keyboard, there's text. You could type in, and it bounces between your iPhone and your Mac. Which I found accidentally by typing in something on my Mac, and it was like, whoa, why is that here? And it syncs up. So
yeah, I think it syncs via iCloud.
Yeah,
which is the same technology as syncing via Dropbox. It's just a different server in a different mountain somewhere.
Sure. Sure. But yeah, by having it on your Mac, if there's stuff, again, I mean, I'm quick with typing on the keyboard on the screen, but I mean, there's just sometimes things you don't want to type out, like an address or phone numbers.
Email signature.
So much. What?
Email signature.
Email signatures. I even did a joke one of like, when people, I'm texting someone or I'm on Twitter with someone, that whole thing from Parks and Recreation, the whole like treat yourself, that kind of meme. That YouTube video, like treat yourself. I actually made that, like, I think it's :treat, and it has the text treat yourself with a link to the YouTube video.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I mean, it's silly, but like, hey, it makes the person I'm talking to laugh a little. So, I mean, that's a good use too. So,
well, speaking of funny,
tell me funny.
I don't use a lot of third-party keyboards in iOS.
No,
but one of the ones I do use is Giphy or Jiffy, however the hell you say it.
Sure.
And all it is just a constantly updated database of searchable GIFs.
Whoa.
Animated GIFs. So you tap the world keyboard button on your keyboard.
Yeah.
That pops up, and you can search any topic, and it will bring up a GIF, animated GIF.
Wow.
Of that topic, which is pretty awesome. I'll send you one later.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And all just, I mean, it's interesting too. I mean, just the emoji kind of thing the animated GIFs and this and that, is that it's just this new, different medium of communication that we didn't have a couple years ago, but here it is, and we're swapping them back and forth on our smartphones or iPads. It's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes typing out mic drop just doesn't have the kind of flair I'm looking for, so I'll use Lisa Simpson.
Yes.
Doing a mic drop instead.
Yes. I do remember that one, yes.
But there's a lot of... I did a quick search of third-party keyboards for iOS 8, and there's, I think, 1 billion of them. But one of the ones that's been in the news lately is the Sunrise keyboard. Sunrise calendar keyboard, which installs itself as a third-party keyboard, but then the keyboard itself draws from your Sunrise calendar. So if you're trying to set up an appointment with someone, I think we touched on this.
Oh, we totally did on our scheduling episode, yeah.
Yeah, and it enables you to tap times right in your calendar, in your keyboard field, which then generates a link which goes to the recipient, and then enables them to pick one of the times that you've selected as the times you're available. But that all works because it's a third-party keyboard.
Right.
But yeah, those are the big ones in my opinion. There's a lot of like fun ones.
Sure.
There's one called like fancy key, color keyboard themes. Those are just like different colors and themes, really same kind of functionality. But I guess the only other function we haven't covered is swiping and swifting.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I remember
Swift key?
Swift
right?
key and swipe, I think it's called.
Okay.
I know when it came out, I was like, wow, it's amazing. But then I used it for like an hour. I'm like, this is stupid. I just couldn't get into it.
Right.
Have you tried it?
I did. Yeah, it's the same thing. I haven't used it ever since.
I don't know.
I'm okay with typing. Like,
yeah, I guess that's what people wanted, but...
Right. Yeah, some people use it. Cool, power to them. Cool.
Yeah. So that's about all I have to say for iOS keyboards. Have you... what's your experience with OS X shortcuts?
On the Mac, I mean, I'm still relying on Text Expander.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I use, and one of them is there's a lot of Launch Bar apps. One of them being Launch Bar.
Yeah.
And its other, I guess it's a competitor would be Alfred.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I use quite a bit actually, and all it is, and it's kind of weird because in the OS X Yosemite,
yeah,
Spotlight now functions very similarly to Alfred and Launch Bar.
Okay.
Where Alfred and Launch Bar have existed for years, and Spotlight kind of caught up to them.
Yeah.
So Spotlight works very much the same as Alfred does, and I don't use Launch Bar that much, but I use Alfred quite a bit. And all it does is you type a hotkey, which in my case is Option Spacebar, and it brings up a black bar in the middle of my screen, and I just start typing something, and it'll bring up the first result within my system, whether it's an app, a person in my contacts, a file, and then from there you can use the keyboard, whether it's the arrow key or the number keys,
right,
to perform actions. The whole point is to keep your hand off the mouse and keep your hands on the keys so that you can work faster.
Keeping it moving, totally.
Right.
Yeah, I use that all the time to launch programs, especially.
Yeah. And that's it, really. I mean, there's a couple of Chrome commands I'm not sure people are aware about. Like, I wasn't up until about a year ago. When you have different tabs open, if you just hit Command 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will toggle between the tabs that you have open.
Oh, neat.
I don't know if you use that.
No, well, I stopped using Chrome, so.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, just did, you know.
It's a sandhog, man. It really is.
It's a what hog?
Sandhog, ram hog.
Ram hog, yeah. Processor hog, whatever. Yeah. I fell out of love with it, and especially with my new computer, I was just like, I'm going to try to keep everything the OS stuff, and been happy with it.
And another one I used quite a bit, it's an oldie but a goodie, is Shift Command 3 and Shift Command 4, which I know you know.
Shift Command 4. Oh my goodness, I use that all the time.
Or is it Shift Command or Tab Command?
Shift Command.
Yeah, Shift Command 4.
Screenshots.
Yeah, I mean those are like old school Mac tricks, but
all the time.
I literally use it every day, every single day at some point.
Yep.
Especially now that you can drag, and I think you've been able to do this for a while, but dragging screenshots into messages. Like the Apple messages is.
Yep.
I mean, I know I inundate you with them all the time, so that's all I'm doing is I'm taking little screenshots and showing them to you.
But no, it's great because remember back in the day, you'd have to email them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, less email. It's kind of our thing around here.
Yeah. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, dude. I think it's just distress, especially with like these the text expander sort of things, the keyboard shortcuts. It's all just a matter of, man, this stuff adds up over time. That
it really does.
The more you're moving a mouse, the more, I don't know, switching between this and that in the dock or whatever, or looking for a program, man, the faster you can do it with your hands still on the keyboard, the less keystrokes you have to do to type out your address. I said before how I use it for the show notes. Just a couple keystrokes. I mean, and you use it for huge email chunks. There's stuff that all of us do, I think, whether it's communication and email especially, that if you refine it, man, like you can make that a keyboard shortcut. It just saves you so much time over the course of a year. So something to think about.
And I'll tell you too, once you get grooving with Text Expander,
yeah,
like I've been using it for 2 years, like I find myself typing snippets on other computers that I might be using because I'm so used to them just working.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun, man, because if you're flying on your keyboard between using Alfred or Launch Bar and Text Expander, like you can really fly fast once you get good at this stuff.
Yep.
And I gotta say, like, ever since I started using Alfred, I don't even use my dock.
No.
At all.
Right.
Because, to launch an app, all I gotta do is press Option Spacebar and the first letter of the program and press Enter, and that's it.
Well, I mean, like, the way that we're using computers now and our OS device or smartphones, whatever, I mean, just the way that we access stuff is changing. Recent episode of Back to Work, Merlin Mann was and Dan Benjamin talking about, the phone app on your iPhone. It doesn't need to be on your first screen, because half the time you could just search for someone's name, and if you need to call them, you just hit call. Like, you don't need to hit the phone app. You know what I mean? It's like all these different contexts now, because you could be having a conversation with someone in a text message, hit the info thing to call them. You don't need to switch to the phone app. Like, I don't know. There's just these different things now that we can do that doesn't always require us, clicking a mouse or touching the app to open it. There's all these different ways now.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to this episode too, is just removing that extra second or third step. Mm-hmm. When people are creating apps and making software, they're always trying to find the path with the least amount of taps or least amount of clicks.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you're doing something on an old Mac or an old PC, it's like, all right, well, to print that piece of paper, I had to click the mouse 12 times.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. And that, now, all you have to do is Control P, Enter,
Right.
You don't even have to lift up the mouse. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff.
That's our show. And, trying to find notes here.
Well, you could visit us at workbenchpodcast.com for links to everything that we talked about and more.
And if you subscribed on iTunes, give us a review, because they tell me that helps.
We're also on YouTube, if that's your thing.
Yes, we. Yeah, we are. I thought I lost you there for a second.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Skype is being Skype. But for questions and comments, you can find either of us on Twitter. I'm at Bill Meese, and Seth is at Seth W. And you can always email us and tell us where we might have been wrong or screwed up at hello@workbenchpodcast.com.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Hey, Seth.
Yo.
Later, buddy.
Later, man.